What is going on, guys? NanoBits93 here with another video, and I know I said this in the last video, but again, this is the last reminder for the Magic Trackpad 2 giveaway that we're doing. So all you have to do is leave a comment on the video that I put on the iCard here, and then follow myself and ShiftScreen on Twitter, and we will announce the winner on Twitter tomorrow, April 14th at noon Eastern time. So definitely stay tuned. If nobody claims it within 24 hours, then we'll just pick another winner and we'll do it immediately that same day. So thank you so much for everybody that's entered, and let's get started with the video. Alright guys, so actually I put a poll, which you guys will see right here, on YouTube, to figure out what you guys want to see next, because I do have a couple videos in mind that I'm going to bring over the next week or two. And this is the one that came in first place, so I figured let me work on this one first, let me show you guys what you want to see, and we're going to go from there. And this is going to be my favorite iPad Pro accessories in 2020, and most of these, and I'll let you know if it doesn't, but most of these will work with either the 2018 model or the 2020 model. And if it doesn't, I'll let you guys know and put a little note on the bottom of the screen like, hey, this is only for the 2018, or hey, this is only for the 2020. I'm gonna be using my 2018 12.9-inch iPad Pro to kind of show you guys all these accessories and how I use those iPad Pro accessories to kind of make my life a little bit easier. So we're gonna start off with the things that are actually on my iPad itself. So the first thing that I recommend anybody that gets an iPad do is throw a screen protector on there. I don't care if it's $1 from Amazon, put a screen protector on there because it's gonna save your life. I am yet to even use the iPad Pro without a screen protector, and I've never even used the Apple Pencil without a screen protector. And then obviously there's the thresholds, right? You can go spend like $5 and get like a 3-pack, or you can go and spend $50 and get a crazy tempered glass one from a reputable brand. So my recommendation is actually go towards anything that's very paper-like, especially if you're gonna be taking a lot of notes. If you use the Apple Pencil a lot, my recommendation is to either get the Paperlike screen protector from the company Paperlike or get something similar on Amazon. So I've had the Baseus Paperlike screen protector on my iPad Pro since the first day that I got it, and I haven't tried the regular Paperlike screen protector from the brand Paperlike, so I can't really compare the two, but I will say that this one, for the price, I think it was about $25 for a 2-pack. The installation process was super nice, super easy. It brings everything you would need from cleaning cloths, microfiber cloths, and even a little like credit card bubble remover just to make sure it fits in nice and seamless. And I just like having the screen protector, A, for protection purposes, and also B, for the overall feel of me actually taking notes with the Apple Pencil. And also it protects the screen itself from the Apple Pencil, because over time I'm sure that writing on the direct glass screen of the iPad Pro can't be good for the longevity and the health of that screen, because especially if you're that person that really likes to push down on the iPad screen itself or paper when you're writing on a physical piece of paper with a pencil. So highly recommend get yourself some sort of screen protector. If you do a lot of writing, a lot of drawing, a lot of illustrating with the Apple Pencil, get one that gives you that paper-like feel in order to really have that resistance and that smoothness. And those Paperlike screen protectors do add a little bit of glare and dim the screen a little bit, but for my use case, I haven't had any issues with it at all. So the next accessory has to be a keyboard case, right? In order to really get productive with the iPad, you're gonna need a physical keyboard to do all your typing, all your emailing, all your journaling, whatever the case may be. And a lot of you guys know that the proprietary ones that Apple makes, they're a little expensive, about 180 bucks for the 11-inch, 200 for the 12.9-inch, and then they're coming out with a $350 one in May. So obviously this video is for under $100. Not everybody has the extra $200 to shell out, especially when they just dropped $1,000 on their iPad Pro. So what I have is an alternative. This one is by Initech. I think it's around $70-ish, and it is a little more rugged. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger, but A, you get a bunch of protection. You get a nice viewing angle with all the magnets that it has. The keyboard itself is detachable, so if you do want to just use that keyboard and maybe put the iPad on a stand itself, the keyboard itself is detachable, so you have that dual functionality of bringing it along on the case itself or detaching it, making it your like desktop keyboard, because it is a nice keyboard. I like the keyboard itself is overall nicer feeling than the Apple keyboard itself, and it's backlit, it's RGB. The case itself is very rugged, so you can drop your iPad no problems whatsoever. Overall, it's just a great package for the price. It's lasted me about 6 months. I use it from time to time because I do like how the keyboard is propped up a little bit when you're actually typing, so it gives you that more ergonomic feel as opposed to literally feeling like you're typing on a piece of table when you're using the regular Apple one. And the only reason I stick with the Apple keyboard itself is because A, I never have to charge it, and B, it's just extremely thin, and I like that thinness when it comes to carrying my stuff. But on the other hand, the Initech one is good. The Initech one is very well built. It's very protective. The keyboard works like a keyboard. It has function keys, it has RGB lighting, and the charge lasts about 3 months, and you can recharge it however you seem fit, right? So that is my keyboard recommendation if you're trying to stay sub $100 for an Apple keyboard. Since Apple released iPadOS 13.4, everybody's seen it. We now get this cool native Apple version of what mouse support looks like to them, and everybody ran to the trackpad, including myself. You know, the trackpad, from a gesture functionality standpoint, it works amazingly. Like, that's what you want it to be, and that's what I think Apple is moving towards, and that's why the trackpad on the new keyboard that's coming out is a little bit smaller, because I don't think it's going to be used much to point and click. It's going to be used more for gestures, and then maybe somebody will have a regular point and click mouse to the side of it. But since that trackpad is over $100, my recommendation is to go with the Logitech MX Anywhere S2. And a lot of people were kind of scared of using a regular non-Apple mouse because there is a lack of gesture functionality, right? There's no touch functionality. But if you guys have seen my mouse support videos, you can see that you can customize any mouse to do certain actions as long as assistive touch is on, right? And so what I've been able to do was I've mapped out certain function keys. Well, I've mapped out certain keys on the mouse itself to take me back home, to go to multitasking, to bring down spotlight view, basically to replace those 3 finger gestures that are on the trackpad. And it's been working seamlessly for me. Again, you have to have assistive touch on, so whenever the iPad is not connected to that Bluetooth mouse, then that little circle menu button shows up on the screen. But what I've done is I've added a shortcut on my widget screen, so 1 tap to turn it on, another tap to turn it off, and I'm all set, so that annoyance isn't there anymore. And again, it's a first world problem, but it was there and I needed to fix it, and there is a nice little fix and workaround that doesn't make you think about it really. So having any sort of mouse period is a great buy. Like, I know the Pebble mouse is really good for the price, but I just like the MX Anywhere S2. It's definitely sub $100. I don't know what it's at now. The only thing that I really wished it had was a USB-C charging port as opposed to a micro USB. But this came out about 1.5 years ago, and I really, really like it. I would recommend it to anybody that's looking for a mouse companion that isn't a Magic Trackpad. The next thing you need for the iPad Pro is some sort of USB-C hub or dock. And what I have is one, again, by Initech. And this one has a little bit of good with a little bit of bad mixed into it. So I highly recommend doing your research when it comes to USB-C hubs, especially. I'm looking into getting a USB dedicated dock that has its own power source plugged into the wall, because that's what I need for my setup. But for right now, this Initech hub, it's a 9-in-1 and it's working decently. Like, it's getting the job done to a certain extent. It does warm up a little bit. If you use up all 9 of the ports at the same time, it's gonna get extremely warm. So I usually keep it at just 3 ports filled in. I have the USB-C PD going for power, HDMI out to go to my secondary monitor, and then another USB-C to directly into my iPad for power, and the video out going through the HDMI cord. Other than that, I don't really mess with it. Sometimes I'll use my USB-A to USB-C cable to plug in my RAV Power SS, which I'm going to touch on in a second, but I've never maxed out more than 4 different ports because I know that it's going to get a little bit warm. But other than that, it works well. As you guys can see, it's portraying the video pretty nicely, and I just like having a secondary monitor, even though it is a mirror display, and I've showed you guys shift screen a ton already, so you guys know all about shift screen. And then another awesome item that I definitely have to recommend for you guys, especially if you're trying to save money and you go with a lower storage spec iPad Pro, especially if it's a 2018 one and you got the lowest spec, you're getting 64 gigs, which is not too much, especially if you're getting the iPad Pro model, which is going to be for more pro intensive tasks. So what I did, I do have the 256 model for the 2018 iPad Pro, but what I did do was I got myself a 500 gig SSD from RAV Power, and I believe that was $80 or $90. And it brings both a USB-C to USB-C cable and a USB-A to USB-C cable for data transfer, and I absolutely love it. So what I do is, usually I'll do all my recordings, get my clips, create whatever final project I have, and then I get rid of all the clips and save final video, and then what I do with that final video is then I export it and put it and leave it in my RAV Power, and that's where it stays. So I'm not over here taking up 2 gigs per video that I post on the actual iPad Pro. So highly recommend getting yourself an SSD. RAV Power is just a nice reputable brand that I found. 500 gigs for $80 to $90 in such a tiny little form factor that I can just throw in a bag or even in my pocket is awesome to have. So definitely check out that SSD, guys. Next thing we got to talk about is a charging solution, right? So Apple out of the box provides an 18-watt single USB-C charger to the iPad Pro, which is fine. It'll charge it overnight, no big deal. It's not really a fast charger because you can input up to 30 watts of power into the iPad Pro itself. So what I have is a 65 watt GAN or what I have is the Baseus 65 watt GAN mini PD charger. So what that is this tiny little brick, which I've mentioned to you guys before, and if you guys haven't seen TLD's video of top 50 under 50, I was actually put in that video, so that's awesome. I'll link that below or put it in the iCard here. And I love it because it gives you 2 USB-C ports and 1 USB-A. If you have just the top USB-C port plugged in, you get up to 65 watts of power. So this will work for your iPad, for your iPhone, for any USB-C charging device, for your MacBook Air, your MacBook Pro. It'll probably even charge up that 16-inch MacBook Pro. Maybe not as fast as that 100-watt charger, but it'll still get the job done pretty well. And then the next 3 items, they're more for leisure than anything else. I have the Xbox One controller, which I use to play a lot of Call of Duty, which I've been freaking loving. Being able to play Call of Duty mobile with an Xbox controller is an absolute revelation, guys. Like, it makes it so much more fun. And I truly do believe that the iPad Pro could be like the next generation gaming console. Like, what they're doing with the iPad Pro, the internals, and whatever else they're doing from a hardware standpoint to push those games and that software to the best of their ability is kind of insane. So highly recommend giving the iPad a try in terms of making it your gaming console. I still play my Xbox, I still love my Xbox, but it's just very cool to be able to just flip open your iPad. You've got your controller already in your backpack and you're playing, especially if you're on an LTE connected device. You could be playing online immediately. So it's very, very cool. And then I do have a Lamicall stand. I usually show you guys the aluminum one, but then I have also this black plastic rubber one, which I kind of like, especially for a lower viewing angle. So highly recommend that one too. And it's got a nice little, you can adjust the height a little bit as well. The angle itself can be adjusted. So it's a nice secondary stand I like to carry around. And then the very last thing that I'm going to recommend you guys, I know that this retails for a little over $100, but you can find it open box, you can find it refurbished for about $100, $105. Get yourself an Apple Pencil. If you guys have an iPad Pro and you take notes, get an Apple Pencil because it's just a lot better. I like to be able to take all my notes with a pencil, be either on the Notes app itself or on OneNote if it's work related, and then depending on where I need it to be, it's there. Like, whatever I handwrite in my Notes app on the iPad will show up on my iPhone. Whenever I handwrite notes for work on my OneNote, then it's on my Windows laptop. Just being able to take quick handwritten notes if you need to at a glance is just super, super nice. So I highly recommend getting the Apple Pencil. Get yourself an alternative like the Logitech Crayon, guys. So those are my favorite iPad Pro accessories under $100. I stand by all of them. The only one that is only for the 2018 iPad Pro is that Initech keyboard that I mentioned earlier on. So you could it still physically fits the 2020 iPad Pro, it just doesn't have the bigger cutout for the camera. So if you guys are okay with that, then it still works. Other than that, I'm sure Initech will make a new iPad Pro keyboard case, so stay tuned for that, guys. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys made it to the end, leave a comment below. If you guys are gonna get anything, let me know. And if you have any other stuff in your setup that's under $100 that you guys think I should check out, leave a comment below to a link, or leave a link below to that product, and I'll definitely check it out and see if it's worth me getting or not and reviewing for you guys. So again, that's gonna do it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You guys are awesome, and until next time, peace. Stay tuned for that Twitter giveaway.